I know what Don Peebles thinks of all of this. Don, of course, the former Obama fundraiser, Peebles Corporation CEO and founder. Don, first of all, that is a Herculean task. We still don't know the actual number of illegals who are already here, but a good many have been here for years, some say decades. And to weed them out is going to be time-consuming and expensive. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a job that needs to be done. Think about this. When Americans commit crimes, they are arrested and punished. Someone coming into our country illegally should be arrested and removed. We have an immigration process, and it should be respected. And if we don't enforce it, then people won't respect it. Also, it puts Americans at risk. And so we have to address this. This is not an option. So I think it has to be done, and I think that he will. The irony is that many Democratic governors and mayors are going to continue to push back on this issue, and that's one of the reasons that Kamala Harris lost.
You know, if you think about it, too, this is getting a sort of a bipartisan support and could explain why, Latinos, particularly Latinos in border states, were overwhelmingly in favor of Donald Trump. And now out of New York City, that it's going to stop with these taxpayer-funded prepaid debit card programs for illegals. And they're reining back on that. And by the way, not only in places like New York City. What do you make of it?
Well, I think they should rein it back. Think about it. We have veterans who served our country and protected our freedom on the street, homeless. We have Americans that are homeless and struggling and mentally ill, and yet we are giving people who enter this country illegally $1,000 and spending $5 billion a year to house them in New York City. It's absurd. Yet we won't take care of our own citizens. The priorities are wrong, and again, the voters rejected that on Tuesday.
You know, Don, there's a lot of soul searching going on in the Democratic Party, a lot of finger pointing. You're even seeing it among people who are saying, Nancy Pelosi, it's your fault. No, Joe Biden, it's your fault. And your old friend and confidant, Barack Obama, a lot of people pointing the fingers at him. It's your fault. What do you make of all of this?
I think that the Democrats lost touch with the constituency. They lost touch with their core constituency, and they lost touch with Americans. And so they don't understand what Americans want. And so their policies were rejected, whether it had been Harris, whether it had been Shapiro, whether it had been Biden, or whomever else. Donald Trump would have won this election if they all consistently applied the same policies. It was a policy decision that Americans said, we're going to vote for what's in our best interest, and we don't care who the person is who delivers it. If he is a little bit rough around the edges, we like that because we feel he is committed to doing it.
Looking at the business environment, obviously the markets are, the animal spirits are back with a vengeance. Do you find that justified? With every report we get, the Republicans will pick up the Senate, now likely the House, and now we're looking at the details of how sweeping Donald Trump's victory was and how many usually Democratic groups have moved over to him, that it just adds to the buying fervor. What do you think?
Well, look, I think that the fact is that the business environment in America is going to get better. January 20th, it will get better. The current administration really didn't have a consistent policy in terms of expanding our economy, and there was no one at the wheel at the top. And so the markets will respond favorably. My industry, the real estate industry, we're extremely optimistic because we're going to see many things turn around. One thing, for example, in Washington, D.C., the federal government leases 42 million square feet of office space. They own tens of millions more of square feet of office space. And not one day since the pandemic has that office space been occupied more than 40%. A waste of money, and it's destroying downtown Washington, D.C., and it's destroying the commercial office market. If President Trump forces people to come back to work, then we'll see a change. Biden ordered them, but then didn't enforce it, so they acted just like the migrants, and they paid no attention to what the president's directive was or what the rules were.
All right. Thank you very much, Don Peebles.